I'm Michelle Carlin. I'm the Sales Manager at Law and Order, and I'm joined today by John Cleary to talk about Royal Commission readiness. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
Hi, Michelle. My pleasure.
Thank you. Now, we're here today to talk about Royal Commissions. We know from our experience at Law and Order that a lot of the larger providers have already received and responded to a notice. And now we're in a situation where a lot of the smaller ones will be getting a notice. Do you want to just start by telling us a little bit about your experience in Royal Commissions and the expertise that you've gained over time?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved with 3 Royal Commissions now at varying levels. One as the CEO of an aged care organisation where I led the research into a organisational response and was responsible for signing off on that. I've also been involved with the current Disability Royal Commission in terms of managing a project to ensure that the research and responses are done in a timely and thorough manner. And starting off well prior to all that, I was involved for over 4 years with the Royal Commission into institutional responses, I should say, to child sexual abuse. And that particular Royal Commission, I was not only leading the institutional response, but I was required to give written and oral evidence in my own right.
Yeah, so some amazing experience, and thank you so much for agreeing to share your experience. So we're going to talk about the Disability Royal Commission today. As I mentioned, we've had a lot of the larger providers already produce for the Royal Commission, and now a lot of the smaller ones are wondering what's next and anticipating a notice in the next little while. What can they expect?
I guess it's largely unpredictable. However, generally speaking, from my experience with the 3 Royal Commissions that I've worked on, the very first request is generally what I would call a catch-all response, which basically is tell us about yourself, tell us about what you do, the number of customers, the number of employees, a bit about your revenue and your the states and areas that you operate in. And then it will go fairly quickly into details about investigations, incidents and complaints, and various other areas of your operation. So the very first one is what I call a catch-all one.
Okay, and how can they best prepare for this? A lot of these smaller providers don't necessarily have people in roles as project managers or the resources internally to be able to handle this. How would they go about doing it?
First of all is build a team around you that you can be well isolated from any, I guess, non-urgent work. So if there's any, say, strategic tasks that could be deferred, certainly do that. Gather that team around you and make sure you know where all your data, whether it's hard or soft, lives. And go right back to, I would say, go back a decade with that data. So understand where it lives, whether it's in an archive facility, with an external provider, whether it's in an internal facility, whether it still lives in SILS, whether it's in a regional office or a head office. And you might need to involve your IT with respect to soft copies and with regards to extraction or recovery of some of that data in readiness, because my experience is that those processes can be slow and they can eat into your response time.
Yeah. And who should be part of that team? You mentioned IT is obviously an important element of it. Who else should be getting involved in preparing for this?
Well, you would want to involve your external legal consultants. If you are in a position to spend money on specialists, I would suggest that you engage the likes of Law and Order, who can assist with some forensic work as well as the coding work that can help. Pull together a team that covers all aspects of your business, and ideally every year of that period. So it's pointless having just a team of people with, say, less than 2 years organisational or corporate knowledge. You want to make sure that you cover the entire period, because you're bound to get a question, what happened back in 2014 in a particular area, and you want to be able to get that answered quickly if you can't find it in your soft and hard copy records.
So in terms of the information that the providers are collecting, what are some of the things that they need to keep in mind?
The most important thing is to keep in mind, that you're thoroughly answering the question across the relevant period and the whole context of the question. And also, importantly, keep a record of what I would call your methodology and how you went about what you did. So if you looked in archive boxes, whereabouts, how did you do your search? What were you looking for? The box number range. Document similarly for your soft copy records. Did you look at structured or unstructured data sets? Did you look in email inboxes of current and former employees? So how you went about your search. It's important because you may be required to explain that at some stage to the Royal Commission, or at a very minimum, you may need to revisit it yourself at some stage when you backtrack with requests down the track and you wonder how you arrived at the answer in your first request, which might at that point seem a very long time ago.
Yeah, makes total sense. And so once they're in a situation where all of that has been prepared and that final production has been covered off by their lawyers and gone through to the commission, what can they expect next?
Well, the first thing that should be done next is make sure that the CEO and the board, if they aren't already, are totally across what's been produced. Also, quickly debrief about how the process went and whether next time round, and there will be a next time, that you might need to make an adjustment to the process or several adjustments. And then I would suggest have a couple of days off, because the nature of Royal Commissions is for the next 1 to 2 years of your working life, it's going to be largely unpredictable, and you're not going to know when and how many requests are going to come in. So soon after submitting one is as good time as any just to have a couple of days off.
Yeah, makes total sense. And once they're in that situation where all of that's been done, I know it's probably difficult to say exactly, but what are some of the things that they should anticipate over those next couple of years?
Look, this is no guarantee, of course, but from my experience, the requests tend to get more and more focused over time. So when you have submitted that very first one, which is the catch-all, very quickly the Royal Commission, if they need further information from your organisation, are very quickly going to move to the heart of the issues. So they might have a particular interest in an area, a time period, perhaps a group of customers, or they may have a particular interest in several employees that might have been problematic.
Okay. And are there any other top tips that you would give someone who doesn't know that they will receive a notice to produce, but knows that it's a possibility? Are there any other top tips that you would give based on your experience to help them be prepared?
Be right across your major or extreme incidents and complaints. Be right across exactly what happened, what your response was, and importantly, if there were deficiencies in the response, have a thorough understanding of what your organisation has now done to ensure that your response would be better next time.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And is there anything else you'd like to add, John?
I think that's all for now, Michelle, but no doubt, as the Royal Commission evolves, we'll have more advice.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, John. I really appreciate it. We understand how challenging it can be to be in this situation where you do need to produce notices. When you are under-resourced, it can be incredibly challenging, but being prepared is key, and hopefully this information has been helpful in preparing should you receive a notice to produce. Thank you. Thank you so much, John.
My pleasure. Thanks, Michelle.